So welcome to Techno Dad Life, and today what we're going to do is turn your mini PC from an underwhelming desktop into a powerful media server for your home, and we're going to do that in 5 easy steps. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell button to be notified of future videos. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we have our mini PC and we are going to install Ubuntu, but a very special version of it. So we are going to install a special operating system. So not only is it Ubuntu, which has the X face, which is a very light desktop, but we are going to do one other thing. So we're going to go to release page. And for me, pick out your country. Mine is the United States. And so here you can see it says minimal install compared to regular install. And so we want to download that minimal install, then download Banana Etcher. And so we're going to use this to write that ISO to a USB drive, so then we can install it on our machine. So while that's downloading, you can see so the version is 1.7 gigabytes, and then the regular version is 3 gigabytes. So you save quite a bit of space there. So once you've installed Banana Etcher, click Flash from File, find your ISO and select it. And if you haven't already, take your USB drive and insert it into your computer. Then once you've done that, select your drive and then flash. And then it will take a few minutes to do that. Once that's done, you pull your USB drive out, and now we're going to insert it into our mini PC. And then make sure it's plugged in with a keyboard and a mouse, and it's plugged into a monitor, and you have internet access plugged into it. And so for me, I need to hit delete in order to get to the BIOS. We're going to go over to boot, and we're going to do the first boot option, hit that, pick out our flash drive, hit enter, and then go to save and exit. And yes. Now here we're going to hit try or install. So what it's doing now is setting up the installer. So for us, instead of try, we're going to install and just pick out your languages and your country and keyboard as we go along. And so here we want to install extras and then continue. So here we want to erase our entire disk and install Ubuntu. I've done it a few times already, that's why it's saying there, but yours should say use entire disk. And then I have 2 disks attached, so one is a M.2, the other one is a hard drive. So I want to pick out the M.2 drive, that's the fastest drive, the 2 terabyte drive we're going to use as storage. Then continue, and then continue one more time to make those changes permanent. Pick out your time zone, and now we need a username, a server name, and a password. And you need to remember this password because this is your password that you're going to use. This user and this password are what you're going to use when you log into CasaOS. And now it's time for a cup of coffee. Okay, so at this point we need to pull out our USB drive and then reboot. So we'll do that now. There it is. Okay, so now we're going to log in as that user we created earlier. And you wrote down your password, didn't you? So put in that password here and then hit enter. So now we're in the Ubuntu desktop, but what you'll notice is something particular, there's no programs. So if we go up here to the corner, and the only program that's here, so is the terminal. If we click the other ones, even though there's an icon here, you can see that nothing shows up. So why we downloaded this particular version, it's a minimal install of Ubuntu with a desktop, Ubuntu desktop, but it doesn't have any extra stuff that you don't need, other desktop stuff. It just has the terminal, which we're going to use right now. So we need to install a few things to prepare our system for CasaOS. So the first one is we need to install curl. So the first thing we're going to type in is sudo apt install curl, and because we need curl to install CasaOS, hit enter. And then yes. And so now we can install CasaOS, but keep this monitor plugged in because I'm going to show you something here. So basically we need to copy this line, and actually there's a little copy thing over here. But if you want to do this easy, you can install a web browser, go to this page, and just copy it that way. I don't want to do that, so we'll just copy it. So curl. So we're going to type in curl space dash small f small s capital S capital L space https :/ get CasaOS space pipe space sudo bash, hit enter. And so that starts installing CasaOS, and so we can have another cup of coffee while it's doing that. Okay, it's done installing, but before you unplug your monitor, keyboard, and mouse, there's something else to do. And so I'm going to show you why you need to do it, and then I'll show you how to do it. So if we look closely, I'll have a little arrow, we can see our IP address 192.168.1.69. So next we're going to go to our desktop, put that in our browser, hit enter, and that takes us to CasaOS. And so we're going to go. So it's going to want us to create a username and password, and I suggest you use the same ones that you did before on Ubuntu, and then click create. And then you can cancel this because we don't want any news. And so now we're to the CasaOS desktop. So the thing that I wanted to show you before we do anything else is that something is not going to work, and so we have to fix that. And so we go up to terminal, and so we have our username and password in already. If not, just put it in. And so this is the username and password that you put into Ubuntu, which hopefully you put into CasaOS 2. And you hit connect, and it doesn't work. And the reason why is the SSH server hasn't started yet, and so we have to fix that in the Ubuntu terminal. To make this easier, hopefully for you to read, I'm going to type in clear. That clears out the other information. You don't have to do that. So we're going to install the Open SSH server. So to do that, we are going to type sudo space apt space install Open SSH-server, hit enter. And I, of course, spelled it wrong, so we need to fix that. Mine is on this tiny little screen over here because I'm recording it. And then let's try that again. And that time it worked. We're going to hit yes. So that's installed. So now we need to start it. So we want to type in sudo systemctl enable SSH, hit enter. And that worked. And so next we want to open our firewall port 22 so we can SSH. So we're going to type in sudo ufw allow SSH. That should work now. So let's go back to our desktop. And so here we are again, and if we go to terminal, we have our username and password, and we click connect. And now we can log in. So this is really helpful. So that was our second tip. Our first tip was to install Ubuntu Lite and then enable SSH. Next, what we'll do is show you how to change Docker locations. So basically, if we look at storage, okay, I have the system drive, which is basically 500 gigs. And I have an extra drive. And so I want to create storage, And so it's a 2 terabyte drive, and it's going to be called storage 1. And we're going to format and create this. So now we have true drives available, and if we go under files, you can see the second one is there under location. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to create a new folder. We'll call that media. That's shared. And inside media, we want to do movies, music, books, shows, and oops, we want to share that one, so let's see, share. And photos. So basically these are all your sort of large file things that will take up most of the room, and we want those on a separate hard drive. So for 2 reasons. So one, we have a bigger hard drive so they have more room. But second, if anything happens to CasaOS in that unlikely circumstance, they are on a separate hard drive, so they'll still be accessible. Now, this isn't a backup. This is just a sort of separate place to have them. So as always, you should back up your files, but that will be another video. Okay, great. So now we'll X out of that. So we have our data folder up here where our data for our Docker files will go, and anything that we do immediately, oh, actually we should add one more, downloads. So inside of media, whoops, we're going to add one new folder, and that will be downloads. And that one doesn't need to be shared. Okay, next we will close this out. And so now we're going to install an app. So on my YouTube channel, I did a poll. I said what was the most popular media serving app, and it was Plex. So what we'll do is we will install Plex. So I clicked on Plex and it's installing. While you're waiting for it to install, normally you can get rid of a few things on the desktop. We don't need recommended apps. So next, we do not want to start Plex. Actually, it is already started, but we're going to stop it and then change the configuration file. So if we go to Plex, go to Settings, and so for here, if we look at our disk, so here we have, goes Data, App Data, Plex, Config. And so if we go to our folders, it goes Data, App Data, oops, Plex, and then Config, and so that's where all the information is stored. So that one is fine. But what we want to change is where the media is stored. So we're going to click on this. Going to go up, mount, storage, and then media, and select. The other way to do this is if we go to Files, go to Storage, and then we can click on the things there, copy path, and go back. Go to Plex, Settings, and paste. Isn't that amazing that we got the same thing both ways? What we just did is we changed the path from our data path for our media from the smaller hard drive to the bigger hard drive. And we're going to click Save. Okay, so that has rebooted. So now what we'll do is open Plex, and then sign in, And then once you're signed in, we get to configure everything. First, we get to name our Plex, and so it's just Plex, which is fine. Now we're going to add our media, and so we're going to pick movies first, then click Next. We're going to browse for our media folder, and remember we picked media, and so inside of there are the different things that we did, and so we'll pick movies, and then add to library. So there's our movies folder. Now we can do our TV shows. Browse, go to the media folder, go to shows, add to library, add our music, next, browse the media folder, click on media, and go music, add, and add to library, photos, and next, browse for media, media, add library, and let's see, movies, music, TV shows, do we have one more? Other videos, and so we don't have anything for that. Plex can't do books, but other things are going to access your shared folders to get your books. Then we click Next, and if you don't have any, you can get the Plex apps. It will show you how right there. So it takes you to the desktop, and it shows you sort of the Plex channels, which are their recommended movies and things like that. But if you look over to the side, movies, TV shows, music, and photos, those are ours. And so now we have the basic Plex setup. So next we're going to set up Home Assistant, and the thing that we're going to do different is we're going to add a Zigbee stick, and so we have to modify the Docker file to do that. So same thing, we're going to go to the App Store, and Home Assistant's right on top there, so we'll click Install, and that can continue in the background. Time for more coffee while that's installing. So that is done installing, and again, we're not going to start it or open it up, I should say. So here we have a Zigbee plug, and I'm going to plug this in and get it in pairing mode. Okay, so that is in pairing mode, but first what we need to do, to find the address of our Zigbee stick, we have to do a few things first. So we're going to go to Terminal and log in. So we want to find our Zigbee devices, so we type in sudo ls usb. And so here we can see there's our Zigbee stick right there. Oh, I can't highlight it. Ching Heng Electronics, so now Zigbee 3 USB dongle. And right below them you can see those are our Bluetooth. We have a Bluetooth dongle, and then internally we have a Bluetooth radio. So next we want to type in sudo ls-la/dev/serial/by-id to get our USB ID. And so there's our dongle, and we can see it's at TTYACMO. So make sure you write that down. And I should say the actually last one is not O, it's 0. So the last digit is always a number. You can close that. Okay, so now we're going to go back to Home Assistant. So we're going to go back to Settings. And so now we're going to add our device. So we're going to go to Devices. So we want to put /dev/tty, and for me, capital A, capital C, capital M, 0. And then on this side, we want to put /dev/tty USB 0. And then click Save. And here you can see I got an error the first time because I typed it in wrong. So you got the right way. So now in Home Assistant, we should be able to add our Zigbee devices. So we're at the welcome screen, so everything is good. So let's create our house. Put in a username and password, click Create. Put in your location. And then if you want to add any statistics, you can do here. We're going to click Next. We found some devices already. So next we want to go to notifications down here in the bottom left. Click on that. Click check it out. So let's add an integration and click Zigbee. So it's dev TTT USB 0 and then submit. And we'll pick a place for it. We're in the basement. Click add and then finish. And so if we go to our Zigbee thing, it's actually working. And we can add a device. Let's do that. Let's see if that's still beeping. Oh, and it found our Zigbee plug, and so we'll just pick an area, basement. Okay, and let's see if it's working now. So we'll click on this one right there. And I don't know if you can hear that, but it's clicking on and off. And now if we go to overview, we can see our devices on the dashboard. So those were our 5 things. So basically, install Xubuntu Lite for your CasaOS server. Change your SSH server information so that works. Change the location where you save your data from your media from your your containers. And then how to add Zigbee to CasaOS so you can use Zigbee devices on your home assistant. And for the last tip that's to have fun. And if you have any questions about the whole process, just leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. Otherwise, take care, have a great day, bye-bye.